Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendez, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
All right, guys, today we are here with Louise Deininger at the MENA Contemporary. She's a member of the ESKFF residency.
Yes.
Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Thank you so much for being here, Louise. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing good.
And I have to say, you have such a beautiful voice, such a soothing voice. So I'm sure like the listeners will love to hear you talk.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Do you want to start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, hi. I am Louise Deininger, and I'm an artist, a conceptual artist in a contemporary way. And my work is interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, which means that I use different mediums to do my work, such as painting, sculpting, collages, performances, film.
Oh, wow.
And I also use the material of dung in my artwork.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so as a conceptual artist, I'm very much interested in my audience, as in the human and their relationship to everything else. So consciousness is one of the topics that I cover. So it ranges from mundane to really deep work.
Yeah.
Consciousness, spiritual science, metaphysics, quantum theory, identity, gender, or feminist. The topics range from consciousness to spiritual science to metaphysics to self-leadership, self-development, identity, queer, feminist, and all that kind of agendas. So yeah, it varies from what I'm inspired to produce.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. I gotta ask you, what energy drink or coffee are you drinking to be able to do all of this? You must be like working 24 hours, it seems, no?
Well, it's not as complicated as it sounds. Yeah, I'm in the flow. It just goes with the flow. So it depends. Sometimes the projects are small and sometimes they're big. However, I'm constantly in a creative process, so to speak.
You.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I actually wanted to ask about creative process. What's your creative process like? Like when you go to the studio, do you get to work right away? Do you kind of relax, have like a coffee, chill out a little bit, then get to work? Do you work in the daytime, nighttime? What's your preference?
That's a very good question. Actually, I disciplined myself way back when I was doing my MFA at the Academy of Fine Arts University in Vienna, Austria, where I live. I also live in northern Uganda. Well, I disciplined myself to, like, when I get to the studio, the first thing I do, change into my studio clothes and start working immediately. Wow. That's the first thing I do when I get to my studio. So usually I get to my studio around about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I produce until maybe 5, 6. It depends on how inspired I am. Sometimes it can go a bit longer. Oh, wow. So I have a routine, Monday to Friday I'm in my studio. Unless I'm working on another project, then the weekends will be squeezed in. Yeah, so that's my routine basically.
That's beautiful. And how do you handle, like, if you go to the studio and you start to create, but you're not really getting out what you had in mind? Like, do you normally stop for the day, or do you push yourself? Like, how do you balance that?
Well, the thing is, I have again disciplined myself to always be working on a project. It can be something very small, like a painting or a sculpture or an object that I'm working on. So usually there's something that I have to create in my studio, and it's an ongoing process. So I start a painting and then I'll finish it, or continuously working on it. I work in series, so I'll be working on series. So basically when I'm in my studio, there is stuff to be done. I never really get into a situation whereby, I'm not inspired to do something. So no, it doesn't happen.
And then also I wanted to ask about ideas. Where do ideas come for you? Like, do you have to be in motion, like driving, traveling, or do you have to be still? Like, how does inspiration come to you?
Well, being a conceptual artist, my work is research-based.
Okay.
Which means that I'm constantly researching and also experiential in the sense that, I am an embodiment of what I'm producing. So I'm basically constantly inspired, be it, when I'm coming out of the train and going to my studio, or I find something online. There's always God. The archive in my brain is just so full of material.
Oh, wow.
So I'm inspired all the time.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
yes.
Are you
yes.
able to relax and or is your brain always thinking, always inspired?
Well, again, as I said, with experiential knowledge and the spiritual science that I depict in my work, it is also a practice.
Okay.
So I do my meditation, deep concentration, prayer, and meditation every morning. I've been doing that for the last 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's why you have amazing energy. I was about to say, meditation
you.
changed my life, and I just recently started getting back to it with discipline. But you have amazing energy. You're you're so peaceful, and just tranquility. So it's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So I've got a morning routine. I do my meditation just to empty everything and to connect. Yes. And then start my day.
Perfect. Beautiful. And before this residency, did you always when you're creating in your space, do you enjoy having people around you, or do you find that distracting?
That's a very good question. After I finished my MFA, I was fortunate enough to be involved in a project in Vienna. And it's Floridsdorf Museum of Young Contemporary Art, and it is also a studio. It has studio spaces, so it's a museum with studio spaces. So I've always worked in a collective, which I think is inspiring for me as an artist, because then I've got my colleagues who are always there. We work on projects together. We speak to our works and influence each other and support each other, where possible, because it's things that you can do. There's certain things that you're able to do and I'm not able to do. So supporting each other in that way. And it doesn't bother me to have people around me. Yes. That's part of the process.
I just previously, before you, I interviewed Jay, and he had the most beautiful things to say about you.
Thank you.
And then we were talking about the same thing, having people to talk to and collaborate, mentally with ideas. And he said you guys really enjoy that, doing that together.
Absolutely. Yes. Jay is amazing.
Oh,
yes.
Shout out to Jay.
Yes.
And do you think having such a beautiful cultural diverse background like you have, do you think that influences your work?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm very happy and grateful that I was born in the family that I was born in, that I was born in the country that I was born in. I was born in Uganda, raised in Kenya, and grew up in the UK. Now I live in Austria, between Austria and northern Uganda, and I've also lived in other countries as well, such as Italy, short breaks in Amsterdam. In Holland.
Oh, yes.
That's the word, yes. So all these experiences I bring with me, and that finds itself into the works. Yes, so it's amazing. It's a gift to be able to be that person who interacts with so many, sees the world in different perspective, and I travel a lot too. So then my perspective is widened, and I'm able to bring this into my work, and this also supports the work in the sense that my audience usually find a way in which they connect with the work. So it speaks to a wide range of people. And that is mainly because of the experience that I bring with me and integrate it into my work.
Oh, well, that's beautiful. Hearing you say that, with your travelers and all your knowledge and everything, it reminds me, I love Maya Angelou. And my favorite quote that she says is, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of that, all your knowledge or your artistic knowledge and talent, coming into one body and having all of that around you. That's beautifully said.
Yes.
And what are you working on at the moment right now?
Whoa, another very good question. I just finished the paintings at ESKFF, and the topic was quite amazing. Journey home through the spirit of the ancestors.
Wow.
So this was also a work that I invited other people to be involved in, especially women of color, indigenous women, and Jay was was included in this work.
Yeah.
So what happened in this series, there was contribution, and grandmothers came up quite a bit in the works. Yes, so basically it was a way in which I also appreciate and give voice to all those who supported me in that project, and also, to give them this platform whereby, a lot of people are going to be coming to see this show. And I'm also working with another artist downstairs, Daston. He's a photographer, so we're doing a collaboration together. I'm going to finish that this week.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
Then I'm back to Vienna. I need vacation after this 3 months of really working
endless
hard.
creativity.
Yes.
Right? And will you be back in the area after that?
No, then I'm going to Africa.
Okay.
And then I'll be back in Arizona in end of August.
End of August.
Yes, however, I have quite a few exhibitions coming up in Vienna, so I'm going to be working on that after my vacation. Yes.
That's so cool. So when I originally started this podcast, my idea was to kind of like interview the same person almost every year or every 2 years. So I'm very much looking forward to like seeing each other in like another year or two.
Yes,
maybe in a different
here.
country or continent, and then
Yes.
catching up and seeing like how much you've gone.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very interesting, not only for the audience, they get to like kind of grow with you,
Beautiful.
but also they get to hear like a new episode and then go listen to your old episode. Be like, wow, look how much like what she was talking about 2 years ago. It's like exactly how she planned, and you know what I mean.
Yes.
So I'm very much looking forward for the future.
Thank you
hopefully
very
we
much.
see each other.
Thank
you
you.
so much for being on this podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
So I get a lot of written messages from young artists that always ask me, oh, can you please ask your future guest this question? So a question that a lot of people ask is, what would you tell like a young artist that knows in their soul they want to be an artist, but they don't know like what's the next step, or they're not taken seriously by their parents or their family or their surrounding? Is there any advice you would tell them?
That's a very, very good question, and an important one. If and when you have a passion for what you do, stick to it and remain true to yourself, in the sense that, and this I noticed in the art industry or in the art market, that a lot of people tend to follow trends.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
remain authentic to your voice and continue pursuing your passion and fall in love with what you do and be your first client or your first customer, as in love what you do as an artist. And then just keep going. You never know when that door will open. And the door opens according to how much effort and how much work you have put into your process. So it is a journey. It needs a lot of patience. So don't be impatient. Just continue doing what you do. In the end, the benefits that you will get is really mind-boggling. However, it needs you to stay true to yourself and keep going and keep doing what you need to do. Some artists say, oh, well, I have to hustle on the side. Of course, we all have to pay our bills. We all have to survive, That doesn't mean that you cannot stay true to what you love doing, So once you continue to just focusing on your work and doing what you need to do as an artist, you will meet success at a very unexpected hour. In my case as well, my family couldn't understand why I chose to do art. They would have expected me to maybe be a lawyer or
a doctor.
be a leader. I am a leader,
Absolutely.
So they expected me to follow that path. However, my calling was different. So I am able to also change the world through what I do and also earn from what I do. And it's a process. It's a journey. It needs a lot of discipline. It needs a lot of commitment. It needs consistency. It needs belief, especially believing in yourself and your worth, and everything else will just follow.
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. That was beautifully said.
Thank
I feel
you.
like you could do anything. Seriously, you could even be like a life coach with what you just said. It's so motivational, and I really hope the listeners really take that away, if anything, from
Thank
today.
you. I'm trained as a coach as well.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my God. There isn't anything that you don't do. It seems. I'm telling you. I need to know what coffee and energy drink
I'm a
is.
satisfied leadership coach.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm so glad we met today.
Thank you.
And do you mind sharing with us your Instagram and website, please?
Yes, Louise Deininger is my Instagram handle, and my website is www.louisedeininger.com.
Beautiful. And
Thank
are you
you.
open to commissions if people reach out to you? Can you like do it through your Instagram or your website?
I do have my collectors,
Okay.
and from time to time they commission me to do work.
Okay.
And I have my agent and manager, so
Perfect.
everything is done through my
Through
manager
them?
and
Okay,
agent.
perfect. So
Yeah.
they can just like reach out to you on Instagram and you can just direct them to the other
Yes.
people.
Yes.
All right, perfect. It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure having you here today. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much for
much.
taking the time
Yes.
with your beautiful story, and it's been a
Thanks.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online.